Now get the fuck up.
Welcome to Dota2Day episode 3. Oh my god, I'm so excited if you guys haven't noticed. That's because we have a Dota 2 beta key holder among us right now. And no, it's not Papa Dre, it's because we didn't get him today. We'll get him in an interview later this week. But it's Suns Fan. Spill the beans, Suns Fan.
How are you doing?
Oh, you're talking to me. I'm sorry. Yes, I do have a Dota 2 key for myself, of course. Nobody else can play. And you're welcome to come over and play if you want to fly to Phoenix, Arizona. By all means, please do so, Immortal. I know
you are so smug.
Right, and ignoring the ever smug Suns Fan, we'll introduce the lesser casters now because they don't have keys. The ever sexy Snoopy and the ever monotonous troll Xenocide.
God, I feel like it's a snake talking right now with those hissing S's coming out of Immortal's microphone.
it's Voldemort.
Snoopy.
That was Snoopy's introduction. Alright, well, lately in the last week, we really haven't had too much solid news, but we've had a lot of rumors flying around with people saying the Dota 2 release dates will be in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, tomorrow, next patch.
Well,
Ice
when
Frog
you say
said
release
some
dates,
stuff.
you should
I
clarify.
meant closed beta release dates. God, Sons, just because you're in the beta doesn't make you cool.
Yes, it does.
With that, we also have had a lot of screenshots because of the Dota 2 feedback site, which also, the owner of that also got a beta key.
Yep.
Ice Frog seems to be giving everyone that's actually contributing to the game a key, except us for some reason.
Maybe it's a lack of solid
break.
Anyways, by the way, that Dota 2 feedback site is freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Especially like right after the international tournament. That was really cool to go on there and then basically agree with every single thing that was on there as far as what people liked and didn't like. So big shout out to, I have no idea who actually made that, but it's a nice site.
Shout out to that guy. I mean, when I started the game, I played first game. The only game I played so far is this Lucifer Doombringer, and his model's completely changed. And he looked awesome before, but he looks even better now. So.
Now, how about is the attack sound any different?
I did not notice, actually, so that might be a good thing, because I definitely noticed before. Yeah, that was the one thing that really bothered me about that.
Doesn't sound like you're hitting people with window panes.
Of course, I was having so much trouble last hitting in general because of the unit response delay, but that's for another day.
It didn't sound that way, Sons, whenever you were like, oh, I just killed a GGNet player like a boss.
Yeah,
like, oh.
I was playing against a GGNet player, and I mean, I was getting raped pretty much the whole game because they didn't let me solo. We had a Beastmaster solo mid, so I had a lane with the Dota 2 cast guy at top. He was Venomancer. And I don't know. I wasn't really farming very well because there is a unit response delay, which apparently I'm the only one that notices. But it feels like I'm playing original Dota as far as response delay, which isn't a good thing. So I need to figure out what the problem with that is. But I mean, we ended up winning. No thanks to me and my amazing play as Lucifer. So hey, what are you gonna do? I mean, beating pros first day of Dota 2 beta. So.
And with that, the rumors, we've had a few more solid leaks, which one of them being that the NDA might be released in 2 to 3 weeks, with one of the Dota 2 players saying that they really wanted to cast, and talking to Ice Frog, he said, you will be able to in about 2 to 3 weeks. So, meaning some of us might be getting invites, apart from Suns Fan, for being a total mooch off of the Dota Cinema guy. We might all actually get to play the game and make fun of Suns Fan for not being the only one there.
True
Well,
that.
he also did work for it, you know. He didn't mooch.
Yeah, like
just
some
saying.
people.
See,
Yo,
Snoopy
man.
could have been a part of this, but he just didn't do any videos.
Well, see, the thing is, if I did it, that would be in competition with you, and how would you ever beat me out? You know, like,
Well-
I predicted this, and I was like, I'm gonna let him have this one.
Well, here's the thing. It's like the very sexy to female voice of Suns Fan versus the Eric Foreman voice of Snoopy. By the way, for those of you that have watched that 70s show or have seen Topher Grace in pretty much anything, I just want you to close your eyes and picture Topher Grace talking anytime Immortal speaks, and you will
No,
find...
Snoopy.
Mortal. You mean
You're
Snoopy?
not Immortal.
You mean me?
Snoopy, yes.
I'm Eric Foreman.
I mean Eric Foreman that's talking right now, of course. Just picture that, and it'll be perfect, and you'll just smile to yourself and go, "Yes, that is in fact Eric Foreman."
We should
With
obviously be way more popular because we have Eric Foreman and a Dota 2 beta player all in one cast. But moving on from that, that's pretty much all the news they've had lately. Apart from that competitive news, we've had MYM now has a new team, which is pretty much Scythe moving over to MYM because the MYM team broke down and are now mixing up with a few other players in another team and might be having a comeback. But about half of the team is now left. And that's really it for the news. And so we'd move on to the next section of the hero discussions. And I say we start off from the worst and get better. So, as you know, go ahead.
Well, folks, that's just great news because I have an amazing hero for you today. It's a strength hero called Chaos Knight, one of, again, my heroes that I enjoyed playing back in the day, back when I was playing Dota and absolutely sucking balls and having Sunspan yell at me.
Yeah, I need to, he was awful.
Yeah,
that's all I have to say.
Legitimately awful. I'm gonna blame a little bit of that on my internet connection, of course, even though nobody believes me.
Well, why did you play Sniper? You always played Sniper, and you were the worst player.
I could sit in the trees and his auto attack, and nobody would notice me because they'd be like, "Oh, that freaking Xenocide kid sucks balls." I'm just gonna ignore him on the map, and then I'd end up getting some kills.
We see that in the round too.
I'm sorry. Am I like 1300 like you, Immortal? Oh.
Ooh,
yeah, how does
actually,
it feel?
I'm a lever and I can't play matchmaking anymore, so I'm 1600.
Well, that proves me wrong right there. Anyways, back to the Chaos Knight, of course. He's a very good hero, very flexible, can be used to initiate and do different things like that. He has a blink, he has a stun, he has a crit, and even better, he can make images with his ultimate. So to quickly run down the skills here, he has a Chaos Bolt, which is actually one of his more kind of cool abilities, basically because it can be a very, very effective long duration stun. Basically what it does is it does a random amount of damage and stun duration depending on the level. So up to level 4 it can do a stun of between 2 and 4 seconds and does between 100 and 275 damage. So as you can see, if you hit that 4-second stun, I mean that's a very significant stun for a targeted ability. Moving on to Reality Rift, which of course is his blink attack. Basically, you use this again to kind of get in close. He is a melee hero, so always helpful to have a blink in this kind of situation. It is a blink strike, so he actually does do an attack, and at level 4 it does an extra 100 bonus damage. So just another helpful thing to kind of get you in there and get you into the fight.
Do you remember the change for that one?
Is there a change?
Yeah, so it basically takes so every one of his skills has some RNG now. So for the blink one, it brings them back and you forward to a random location in between you two.
Really?
Yeah.
That's kind of interesting. All right. Well, I like that. I like that. You know, again, it's kind of cool that basically what they do is they take some sort of theme, whether it be the random stuff or whatever, and then they just run with it throughout all their abilities, because it didn't used to be like that back when I played, at least.
He's consistently inconsistent, which is the beauty.
Yeah, and the other interesting thing, I guess, is actually with that Blink Strike, any illusions created by his ultimate, which we'll get to in a little bit, will actually be teleported to his new location as well. So that kind of helps out after he pops his ultimate. Finally, we get to his third, which is kind of a basic critical strike sort of ability, but it's more of a low % chance to do a whole bunch of damage. At level 4, it is a 10% chance to do 3x damage, so he can certainly do a lot of damage output as well, especially when you take into consideration that he can create images of himself. Basically, level 3 can do 3 images, and the cool part about these images is they aren't like the dinky little images that you normally get where they don't do that much damage. They do the full amount of damage and take a whole bunch of extra damage as well. So I think they take, it's 200% of their normal damage taken, but they also do full as far as their attacks. So you can kind of get in there, pop your images, and do a whole bunch of damage, especially if you kind of catch someone out in the middle of nowhere and you hit a long duration stun. You can really output a ton of damage with that hero pretty quickly. That's pretty much it. Again, it's another fun hero, so I'll pass the amazing hero discussion torch on to whoever's next.
Because from that very, very fail hero introduction, we move on to Dota 2 Pro Incarnate Suns fan to give us a hero introduction of absolute awesomeness. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, and I did allude to this last week that I'd be doing Pandaren Brewmaster, which I will be doing right now because he's awesome. He's a freaking panda. But I do have to mention that Dota 2, although he's not in the game yet, I've been hearing through the grapevine, because I'm connected with everybody now, obviously, that they will not be releasing any heroes that look like a panda because of China. What do you guys think about that?
Wait, because
Really?
of China?
China bans anything that's like, what is it, like that's a panda, that's a fake panda? I don't know what the exact details are. You've heard about that though, right? Like just in general, anything that's like a artificial panda or something, it's considered mocking. I don't know, I'm just making part of that up, but I know for a fact it's, to some degree, it's banned in China for whatever reason.
So is the sneezing panda YouTube video banned in China?
Yes, absolutely.
Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Of course, I'm sure somebody's going to look this up and flame me for being wrong about something, but it's something like that. So anyway, this Pandaren Brewmaster, who I'm going to miss dearly for being a panda, but anyway, his first skill is called Thunderclap, and basically it's just a small AoE. It deals 300 damage and slows the attack speed and movement speed by 55% of the enemy. So it's kind of short range, so you end up getting a Blink Dagger eventually with him, but it's actually a really good skill in general as long as you can get it off. His second skill, which you usually don't get until later in the game, is called Drunken Haze. It's basically you're throwing beer on a target, which is awesome, and I don't even have to explain that, but it reduces their movement speed by 26%, and they actually miss on attacks. It's a debuff. By 75%, so it'd be it doesn't actually last very long, but they miss on 75% of the attacks, which is ridiculous amount. You're gonna be proccing that like crazy. So, and the third skill, which actually somewhat synergizes with that because it's more evasion for you, but it's basically just a passive 25% evasion with a 25% chance to get critical strike, which is that one's kind of random, but the dodge does stack with. Technically speaking, if you get Drunken Haze on them and you have your passive leveled up all the way, it's what is that, a 99% chance to, no, it's a 100% chance. They changed it. It's a 100% chance for them to miss on you, essentially. So pretty cool. And then his ultimate is the most unique and one of the harder ultimates to use properly, I should say. It's called Primal Split. When you use it, you turn into 3 cuddly little pandas, which God knows what they're going to be in Dota 2, each of them having their own abilities. So the thing to remember here is I think it's the brown panda, which has the stun, is the panda you end up turning into if they're all still alive after the duration's over. But if he gets killed, then it goes on to the next in line. So there's one with invisibility, and I forget what the third one does, but they all
like
it's
a
like
cyclone,
immolation.
Yeah, cyclone. Yeah, so it's like an earth, fire, wind, or whatever theme going on with this cuddly panda, and it's really cool because it helps you survive on top of what you already have with Drunken Baller, the passive, but Brawler, I said Baller, that wouldn't make any sense. It means he cries a lot. But it really helps you survive in, tough situations. It helps you
can
push.
the fire panda actually cook French fries? Is that possible, or?
I don't think pandas can cook. I could be wrong.
But he has fire.
He's
Anyways.
on fire, though. If he happen to be
if he
near
lands on
French
potatoes,
fries?
sure.
I guess that was a terrible Captain Planet joke. Anyways, let's.
I hated that show.
Captain Planet.
That's why I said heart before when you said earth, wind, and fire.
No, yeah, I didn't catch that reference at all.
Earth, wind, and fire.
But anyway, it's a pretty. He was a really fun hero. I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't very good with the ultimate at like microing anything. I used the stun, and that's pretty much it. But it's kind of cool to see the pros use. Although he's not picked very often anymore because of the trialing metagame, but it was fun to watch him be played. It was somebody that can actually micro them. So that is my hero of the week.
Moving on to Snoopy, the sex god. Go!
Oh, jeez. Alright, the hero that I picked this week is probably a favorite of a lot of people, Meepo, the Geomancer. It's a pretty sweet-ass hero. Did you guys like playing Meepo at all?
Nope.
Nope? No,
Not really.
no micro people
Nope.
here? Huh?
No.
Alright,
I never played that panda either.
Alright, well, basically, Meepo is he's a carry. Correct? He's carry. Guys?
Oh, sorry, I was typing to somebody. Semi-carry, maybe.
Semi-carry? Alright, well, basically, I'm going to go over his ult first, because I think it's probably the most important skill to go over. When Meepo hits level 6, he can actually replicate himself. So there's 2 little real Meepos on the map. And each little Meepo can gain experience and gold, so you can send them to other lanes or to go jungle and whatnot. But it's cool because his second skill, which is called Poof, allows a Meepo to teleport to another Meepo. And each of these Meepos each have their own ability count cooldowns, because he has 2 skills that he actually uses. He has Earthbind and Poof. But you can poof one Meepo to the other one, which does damage at the location, and then it does damage as it reaches the target location. So you can basically poof Meepos back and forth during a team fight, and they'll keep, like, even to a well, and they'll heal up and then they'll come back. But unfortunately with the ult, if one Meepo dies, then they all die. And the second Meepo, at level 3 you get 3 Meepos, so if one of them
get 4
dies,
with Aghanims too.
I was gonna mention the Aghanims. You can have up to 4 Meepos, which I guess puts it at 5. But the cloned Meepos can only use the boots that you have. That's the only thing they get, and then they get 25% of any extra abilities. So any stats you get, like if you got a Nullstone, Lincoln Sphere, it would get 25% of the stats you got on that. And basically, your Meepo is the strongest one, but the other ones, they're not completely weak, but they're pretty squishy. His first skill, called Earthbind, it's basically like a net he throws out, and has a pretty actually decent range on it. At level 4, it's 1250, which is pretty large for an ensnare. It basically allows you to pin someone to the ground and lets your Meepos, pretty much surround them. And each Meepo can throw 1 bind for the cooldown duration, so you can chain your binds and poof in at the same time. His third ability is really what makes him do most of his damage. It's a passive that slows and deals damage over time. It's magical damage, but every Meepo gets the buff, so they can basically chain slow a hero to a ridiculous amount. 20% slow and 20 damage per second. So if each one is stacking that in the last 2 seconds, you could probably do, 60-80% slow at all times.
Yeah, I mean, he was a ridiculous hero to play against. I mean, go ahead.
He's an extremely micro-intensive hero, so I mean, if you're not great at controlling more than 1 unit, he's probably going to be a pretty bad hero for you to choose.
Well, I mean, Eric, were you a good micro player back in those days?
I was not a terrible micro player. I could play Meepo pretty well, but
what about when you were finally that man of a woman with red hair? Disgusting. I don't even know her name.
Okay. Getting back on it. Yeah, I was a decent Meepo player. There's people who are known to play Meepo. Chu, I heard, had a very excellent Meepo that performed extremely well.
Did you know that Gnome actually created the idea for Meepo?
I did not know that.
It was different, and then Ice Frog ended up changing it, but the basic idea was his. And actually, we've been waiting for that to come out for Han, but...
Yeah, when I heard they were releasing the Geomancer, I was like, yes! What the hell is this?
Well, the funny thing about Geomancer was, firstly, burst damage raped him, because he just, used, a Lina ult or something like that on one of the images and basically die. But the funny thing about him is, consistently, as long as the player's even just good, you'll be level 25 when everybody else is level 15. Easily.
Oh, yeah, you send them to different lanes and you gain 3 times experience.
It's ridiculous.
Or you jungle with them,
And with the hero discussion going to an end, I wanted to finish with something juicy. So, about the CNB Brazil Dota clan interview, they had said that about 600 to 700 players were in the beta at the moment. Suns, with your extremely limited experience with the beta, what do you think? Do you think they'd have about 600 to 700 people in there?
Oh yeah, I got on, there were about, the most I've seen so far have been 80 people online, so it's still very, very hush-hush, very closed beta. Nothing too huge at the moment, but
very exclusive,
October 1st.
Only let the best
October
people
1st. That's all I'm gonna say is October 1st.
And then also they released that there's no other settings except high on the graphics settings, so crappy computers like my co-host Reeves would not be able to handle the game and are now crying at home because they can't play.
But he can come over and watch me play anytime he wants, so
Right,
he'll have
over your
that. But yes,
shoulder.
that is definitely true. And actually, it runs. It runs really well. As far other than obviously the lag that I'm talking about, the graphics and everything look great. It uses multi-core, so all 4 of my cores were being worked at when I opened the game. So that's not too big of a surprise considering it's on the source engine. As far as the effects, it looks like they haven't really changed too much from the Dota International, other than the models and things like that, which have been a big improvement. But like the things
Change Venge.
I didn't see Venge, so I can't comment. But the HUD is still just awful, which I hope they change that.
I have a feeling it's really, really impersonal. Yeah, I mean, it looks really Steamish, but not at all Dota-ish.
If you mean like a steaming pile of crap, then sure.
I think he means it's just massive amounts of very bland gray blocks of
well, the shocking
UI.
thing is they said they've redone it several times with input from pro players, which I think honestly you shouldn't be getting that from pro players because they don't care. These are the kind of players that play on very not in Dota 2 in general, or not in Dota 2 in specific because you can't do this yet, but just in general, any pro player, they're going to tell you they turn down their graphics anyway. They turn down all effects.
That's what I do.
Yeah, exactly. And I refuse to do it as a spectator, as a amazing player, but not a pro. Although I beat pros all the time, apparently, according to Dota 2. But yeah, I mean, things like that, I don't think you should take from pros. I mean, sure, maybe, things relating to ease of use and things like that, sure, that's fine. Things of that nature, that's fine to take from pros. But as far as looks, I'd say never go to the pros. You need to go a little bit more casual with that, in my opinion. Which hopefully they will do. Yes.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Any closing remarks, guys?
Don't have too much. Again, just looking forward to actually being able to play this game at some point in the future. Probably the distant future, knowing my luck. But if you guys ever want to see or hear a Suns fan play against good players, and Han, and actually find out how much he screams and yells and is just very pleased with himself anytime he gets a kill, you should check out Twitch TV/TeamGLHF and watch, because it's absolutely hilarious anytime he does
I
well.
went 17-3 with Lich last night, or Plague Rider, and I went crazy. Freaking love that hero.
It's been a while since I've heard him that excited, mostly because we've been losing a lot, but actually really haven't.
No. Lately we've been doing really well.
Well, this week we've been good, although Snoopy's been raging.
Yeah,
You can't play War Beast, man. You can't play him, alright?
It's a sore subject between these two. So with that, again, thank you, Immortal, for being the amazing host that you are. And thanks to everyone for listening to this podcast number 3. Hopefully we'll be able to have a wonderful interview with a little bit more insight into Dota 2 and
when's that
all
going
that
on?
jazz coming up.
About this Sunday, probably. So, ending with, this is brought to you by DotaReplays.org. Check out the YouTube channel, subscribe, like, comment, anything you want. Don't dislike, because I don't like you then. If you want to hear Suns fan talk in a really sexy high voice, please check out Dota Cinema channel, where he does the commentating for the videos on all the heroes, which is why he has a beta key right now, because of me. So thanks, guys.